everybody, it's Rob. So in today's video I've got another ZDPS build for you guys. This is a ZDPS build for the Barbarian. It is the Raekor Charge ZDPS build for patch 2.4.2 or Season 8 and above, I believe, unless they change something in the future for it. In this video I'm going to be covering the gear, the legendary gems, paragon points, skills, ruins, passives, and cubed items for this build. And I will also be covering the basic gameplay of this build and including a actual rift I did with this build after the build portion of the video. So be sure to stick around if you actually want to see this in action. It's not very hard to grasp, but it is a very crucial role for a group. So if you want to see it actually in action, be sure to stick around for the end of the video. Alright, so first off, I'm going to quickly go over the gear. I usually get hung up on talking about the gear a little longer than I should, so I want to get through this pretty quickly. Top piece, you're going to want to be using the Leoric's crown with a diamond in the socket for the obvious cooldown reduction. You're going to want to stack a bunch of cooldown reduction. Shoulder, you're going to have Raekor set shoulder with cooldown reduction as well. Gloves, Raekor gloves with cooldown reduction and crit. Chest, Raekor chest. Belt, Pride of Cassius, I believe is what you call it. It increases the duration of ignore pain by up to 6 seconds. Very crucial for this build. In the neck slot, you can either have one of the elemental resist necks or a decent Hellfire amulet. I have an okay one with the Nerves of Steel passive. Very viable. That works. There's a couple different variations. Again, like I said, one of the elemental resists will work perfectly fine. Nemesis bracers for the bracer, for obvious reasons. Shrine effect, enemy champion is spawned. Legs, did I go over the legs? Oh, if I already did, well, here they are again. Raekor breeches, or Raekor set legs. Ring, Obsidian Ring of the Zodiac, for obvious reasons, crit chance cooldown reduction. Oculus Ring for the opposite ring for the damage circles that get dropped on the ground. Illusionary Boots for the boots. Allows you to pass through mobs. Storm Shield for the damage reduction, straight up, all around, great shield. And Oathkeeper for the weapon. Alright, moving on to the skills. For my left click, I have Ancient Spear Harpoon. Ancient Spear Harpoon. I don't know why that was so difficult to say. I like this on my left click. Some people swap this around. This is just what I like, so I use left click for my Ancient Spear Harpoon. Right click, Ground Stomp Jarring Slam. Warcry Veteran's Warning. Threatening Shout Grim Harvest. Furious Charge, Cold Rush, Ignore Pain, Mob Rule. Very important skill right there. As you already saw, it syncs with the belt very well. You're going to want to be keeping that up at all times. Superstition for the first passive, Tough as Nails for the second passive, Inspiring Presence, Sword and Board. Alright, and Paragon point distribution, you're going to want to go full Vitality. If you feel like you need the movement speed, you can dump your points at a movement speed to get up to 25%. But for the most part, you're going to be charging around. You're going to be moving quite quickly, so it's not really needed. It's not required. But if you want to move a little faster, you can max out your movement speed. I don't feel like I need it. I can actually keep ahead of the group just fine without movement speed whatsoever due to spamming Furious Charge. But it's nice to have regardless. If you are lacking survivability, definitely just dump your points straight into Vitality. Offense, you're going to want to focus on crit hit chance and cooldown reduction first and foremost. Cooldown reduction first, obviously, then crit hit chance. The higher crit hit chance you have, the more orbs you will spawn. And then attack speed, and then crit damage. Crit damage definitely lasts because you're not a damage dealing class. Then you're going to want to go resist all, life, armor, life regen. Utility, you're going to want to go with life per hit, obviously to keep yourself alive. Resource cost reduction, area damage, and last, and definitely least, gold find. Because this is a greater rift build, gold find's pretty much useless, obviously. Legendary gems, you probably already saw these. I probably should have done these as I was doing the gear, but we'll go over them now. Swiftness gem for the cooldown reduction, and the dodge and attack speed, but most of the cooldown reduction. Gem of Infectious Toxin, I think that's how you pronounce it. Increases the damage on enemies by 10%, blah, blah, blah. And historic alteration, I can never pronounce that. Just straight up survivability gem, 53% non-physical damage reduction, below 50%. You can read. Those are the 3 gems I use. I see a little bit of variation between this. Some people use Cold Snap instead of the Toxin Gem. Some people use the Toxin Gem instead of the Cold Snap. I like the Toxin Gem. If somebody else is rocking the Toxin Gem, then obviously you want to switch over to using Cold Snap. It's called Cold Snap, right? I think that's what it's called. Cold Snap. Jesus. Ice Blink. Ice Blink. I'm glad I checked. Everybody would have been like, what the hell kind of gem is he talking about? It's called Ice Blink. Cold Snap. I don't even know what that is. Where did I come up with that? All right. Moving on to cubed items. Cubed items, you're going to have the I'm not even going to try and pronounce that. I'm horrible at pronouncing things. The health globe mace. Critical hits have a 4% chance to spawn health globes. That's why you're going to want to be stacking as much crit chance as possible, because the more crit chance you have, the more health globes you will be spawning. Then you're going to want the resource chest. Whenever you're above 90% resource, you take 50% less damage, which is going to be a large portion, if not all of the time. Nice damage reduction right there. Then, ring or jewelry slot, Band of Might. After casting mainly Furious Charge, you will take 60% reduced damage for 8 seconds. So this and the chest combined, you are taking substantially less damage. These aren't really interchangeable, and none of these are really interchangeable. This is the best set of things to go with. I don't think I've ever really seen any other Furious Charge ZDPS Barbarian using anything but these 3. There's, like I said, not a whole lot of flexibility. Now, a little brief explanation of how this build basically plays. You're going to be able to see this in the gameplay or the rift that comes after the build portion of the video, but here's a little brief explanation. So for the most part, you're going to be wanting to spam your Furious Charge to keep things frozen. As you can see with the ruin, all enemies hit are frozen for 2.5 seconds. You're going to be wanting to hit as many mobs with that as possible to just mitigate the amount of damage that is going out to your group. And now you're going to want to keep your Ignore Pain up for as long as possible. That's why you want to have the Pride of Cassius belt, the Ignore Pain duration belt. So you're going to want to be spamming that every single time it comes off cooldown. And the way you get that off cooldown is by spamming your Ancient Spear. Every time you spam your Ancient Spear from your Ring of the Zodiac, you're going to be knocking off cooldown time on your Ignore Pain, and it is going to be extremely easy to eliminate the cooldown on your Ignore Pain. And you're going to want to keep in close proximity to your group at all times, obviously, or at least the majority of the time, depending on what level you're doing. That way you can keep your Ignore Pain on the group. And you're also going to want to be spamming your Threatening Shout every time it's off cooldown, and keeping your War Cry up, which keeping your War Cry up shouldn't be a problem because it has a 120-second duration. As you spam your Threatening Shout, you're going to be also spawning more orbs, and you're also going to be getting orbs from your Ground Stomp, Jarring Slam. Now, you're going to want to be using Ground Stomp and Threatening Shout as often as possible, obviously just to maximize your amount of globes put out. There's some classes that rely on globes for more than just survivability. Some get damage buffs, like Witch Doctors, I believe it is. So you're going to want to put down as many orbs as possible while still spamming your Ancient Spear. I think that pretty much sums up a brief explanation of how the gameplay is for this. If you want to actually, like I said, see how it plays, I'm going to throw in a clip here in just a moment. That's all I got for the actual build for itself. If you like my videos, be sure to give me a like, thumbs up, like, whatever. Comment in the comment section below, and be sure to subscribe because I got a lot more videos coming here in the near future. And check the information in the link below. I'm going to be putting a link to my Facebook so you can keep up to date with my videos and just any other game-related stuff I post. That's all I got for today. Thank you very much, guys. Have a good one.